Welcome to Real Estate Real Talk with me, Skyleigh. I'm a realtor, coach, and founder of Forever Kamloops and Forever Kelowna Real Estate Groups and the creator of Elevation Real Estate, the realtor coaching platform. After nearly a decade in this industry, I've built a business that gives me more freedom, more income, and more time with the people I love. And now I'm here to help other realtors do the same. This podcast is for agents who want to build a thriving real estate business without burning out. We talk about scaling smart and building systems so you can buy back your life, because life shouldn't feel like all work and no play. And if you're a buyer or seller tuning in, consider this your backstage pass. You'll hear unfiltered conversations with top agents and industry pros, giving you the same insights we share behind closed doors. Knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better you can advocate for yourself and work with someone who truly has your back. Let's get real. Today, I'm actually so excited. Jeremy, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited to be here.
I know that we've had so many conversations and you've been a guest on some of our coaching, and every single time I leave conversations with you, like my bucket is always so full. So I'm just really happy that you said yes to being a guest on the new podcast. And yeah, so I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about Jeremy, and then he's going to give us some golden information about his experience. So just a quick intro for Jeremy, because you guys are going to love him. He has a decorated career in sales and real estate. Originally, Jeremy was a religious professor. You're going to have to explain to me what that means one day, Jeremy. Yep. Transitioned into door-to-door sales and did that for about 12 years while being in the top 1% worldwide, which I knew about you from the beginning, and it is like wildly impressive. I know door knocking scares the crap out of so many people, so that is just another level. You transitioned out and jumped into real estate and sold 75 homes your first year as a realtor, which also blows my mind. I know how much work that is. A number of years later, your father was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and I'm so sorry for your loss. I just lost my dad, so I understand that pain, and yeah, I'm going to sit in the mud with you on that. It's just not a great feeling. So I'm really sorry for your loss on that. After battling depression and a loss for producing at a top 1% level, you decided to shift gears and get into consulting and coaching. Your passion became lowering the failure rate in half. That's a substantial goal. That is a substantial
That's the goal.
You know what? I love big goals. I feel like you got to shoot way higher than you think you can land, because you'll never get where you want to go if you don't try the hardest you've ever tried before. Right. So I like that it's a substantial goal. And yeah, ever since you decided to do that, you now run a worldwide coaching platform and one of the fastest growing brokerage teams at Real Broker, which I'm so proud of you for. I have watched you like blow up, and now I come to you for advice, which is also amazing. So I love that we get to share some trade secrets. But above all of this, you are a loving husband, and apparently what you said, baby number 4 on the way?
Baby number 4, yep.
Baby number 4 on the way, and a disciple of Christ. So I am so excited for you to be here and grateful for the opportunity for us to have this conversation. Yeah, is there anything that you wanted to add to that?
That's it. I love our friendship, because this is just such a good example of, if two people just can find out how do we collaborate together and give back to the industry, so many wonderful things come from that.
I definitely agree. And I feel like there's so many things that you talk about that resonate with me, which is probably why we get along so well. Like when you say that you want to cut the failure rate in half for the real estate industry, that's something super powerful to me as well, because there's an 87% failure rate for anybody getting into real estate in the first 3 to 5 years. And that is crushing to me. There's so many people that reach out to me and they're having a really hard time. So yeah, it's a mission of mine as well to help people be able to have a thriving business and be able to have the time freedom to spend with their family and their friends, because we shouldn't have to work these wild hours and have no time for the people that we love. I don't want to say one day when I retire, I'm going to be able to see my family. Like, I don't want that. I've been able to convert my life to be able to spend so much time with my kids. And I want that for other people. So the fact that we have this mission to actually give the information to people so that they can execute the same structure that we have, I think is absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
powerful stuff.
Life is so much more fulfilling when you actually do the things that fulfill you. I heard that once at a seminar. I was like, oh, that's pretty simple, but makes sense, right? Like, then that's the goal. If real estate agents are selling a lot of volume because they know how, then they'll be more fulfilled because they can use that money to then spend it with their family, give back to the community, do charity work, whatever they want to do with it. But man, it is a brutal experience not selling real estate. It's hard, it's stressful.
Yeah.
And that makes sense why, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you break it down, like financial stability is one of the first ones that you have to check off your box. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
I agree. Like you need it, right? Like we always do goal setting at the beginning of the year and then we also do it again in the middle of the year. And at the very beginning of our goal setting, we have the 5 why funnel. Have you ever heard of the 5 why
no, I
funnel?
haven't. No, let's hear it.
I'll have to give you a full breakdown on it another day, but just the very quick version of it is that you sound like an annoying toddler who is saying why, but why? And
Love
you're
that.
saying it over and over again because a lot of times when you say, why'd you get into real estate? Someone will just spit out this superficial reason for why. I want to make a lot of money.
Yeah. Financial freedom.
Or yeah, or I want to be my own boss, or something super superficial. But if you have that like annoying toddler kind of mentality about why is that important to you, like why do you want to make a lot of money, or why do you want to be your own boss, and you say why, you're going to get down to the nitty gritty, and like it brings people to tears when they figure out the deepest why. And a lot of times it does come down, the superficial one is the money part, but then there's always a painful part as to why you need that money.
Yep.
And it makes a lot of sense. That would be one of the number one, what did you call it again?
I'm not sure. Number one.
You said it
Oh,
was like one of the number one things in life that is necessary.
yeah. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a psychology term.
Hierarchy of needs. Thank
Yeah,
you.
the pyramid, and there's certain things you have to fulfill in order to get to that higher state of fulfillment, and one of them is financial stability.
Yes, yes. So that was what I was just trying to say, is that you need the financial stability in order to do your why.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really love that. So there are a few things. I know that you are a wealth of knowledge, and obviously I'm going to have like hours and hours of a recording in order to ask you all the questions, which we can't do, but I'm probably going to harass you to come back again one day. But there was a few questions that we wanted to go over today that you are a master at answering. And I think that something I'm curious to know your perspective on is, why do realtors fail in this industry?
It's a great question. That could be its own book. That should be it. You and I should co-author a book. Why realtors fail.
We should co-author a book. Like seriously, the amount of like hours we could talk to each other, I agree, we should.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is they don't have anything that lights them up. So they don't have the passion. I just did a YouTube video on this where I asked the question, if I were to say, hey, run through a burning building, you probably wouldn't. No one really would. But if I said, hey, your kids are in the top bedroom, ambulance won't be here for 5 minutes, you need to go in there, you wouldn't even think about it. Like you're in there immediately because you have a bigger, deeper passion. And like you were saying, too many people get into the industry for superficial reasons. So when it's hard, there's no big why that's making them run through that building. And so they call quits. That would be one. The other one is the path isn't clear enough. I think there's a huge misunderstanding and a misteaching of what's required in order to get your business off the ground. Because if real estate agents were to look at it like a merry-go-round, it takes a lot of effort to push that merry-go-round to get going. But once it's going, it's a piece of cake. Once you pop 10, 15, 20 real estate transactions, you know what you're doing and you know how to get them, and you're fine after that. But that first 15 or 20, I think there's a miscommunication of what it takes to get to that point. So usually when I work with realtors, it's let's connect your passion. Let's figure out what that is. Let's clear the path, make it really easy to get there so you know what you need to do every day. And if we can couple those together, you'll pull an all-nighter, you'll go hire the coaches, you'll run through walls, like you'll find a way to make it happen if you're passionate enough about it and it's clear enough to get there. Because I feel like I always tell people a confused mind will always say no. If your subconscious is confused about how you're going to accomplish that goal, then it just kicks into fight or flight and it protects you. And that gets manifested through laziness, distraction, lack of focus, etc. And I see realtors stuck in that zone all the time.
Yeah. And I just took a couple notes while you were talking about that because I definitely feel the same way. There's this there's this mentality in just society in general of this instant gratification that everybody wants. And people see all of the shiny objects on social media, for example, and all the success stories, and they're like, I want that, I want that. They
Yep.
jump in and they want it tomorrow. And it's not a tomorrow thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't just like, all of the work that people put in for years and years and the seeds that they plant, that's the hard work that you don't typically see.
Yeah.
People don't share all of that. So I think it's actually tragic because people do jump in and they want all of the glory and all of the done business model systems, all the things, but it does take so much work. So I love that you're like pulling back the curtain. You're like, okay, what is it that your goal is? And these are the systems to actually get you there. Because it's not this all miracle secret, right?
Yeah.
Consistency is the
Yeah.
simplest word to encompass all of it, but it's for some reason seems like the hardest thing for people to swallow. They want this like magic program and system and all the things, and it's like you can have the systems, but if you're not consistent doing it on a daily basis, like you said, having your daily tasks, yeah.
When I even, about a year ago, I even changed everything on the coaching side. When realtors work with me on the brokerage side, I changed things on there and I upgraded the onboarding process. So for 10, 15 days, they're not allowed to have any calls with me. They have to go through modules, training packets, and do their own like deep dive into their business, build their business plan, figure out their vision board, put their schedule together, have their 2 year plan ready, and then we meet. Because once they can do like that deep dive and they have a training on how to go build that, they're fine, right? You got to connect to that passion, have a clear way to accomplish it, and then you can go succeed. And so I restructured everything when I work with somebody. It's let's do an audit on your business. Let's see if we can catch any leaky buckets, any inefficiencies or like waste management that we need to clear up. Once we do that, then we do a business plan and a vision board. Let's get the clear direction. Let's connect you to a why. Let's build a schedule around it, and then let's talk. And I just had an agent that I onboarded from Vancouver. Yep, he's from Vancouver. And he's, man, this is taking me like 4 hours a day to break down. And I'm like, good, because
Yeah.
that's what it takes. Like, you actually have to know your business really well, put in the time, because I'm telling you, you'll be so consistent afterwards and it'll be a piece of cake, but you got to do that internal work on yourself and your business first.
Yeah, there's a lot of front loading. I think that people miss or that they don't realize. Like it is drinking out of the largest fire hose when you get into the real estate or
Yeah.
when you start any business, I should say, right?
Right.
Like you're drinking out of a fire hose. There is so much front loaded work. Like people don't realize how much energy it takes to come up with your systems and your processes and then put it on like PDFs and printables and checklists and all of those things, right? Yeah, it's a lot of front loading. So I'm glad that you have that all in place in the beginning because I think that it does set an expectation being like, hey, like it is quite labor intensive. It is a lot of front loading. You're
Yeah.
like, if you follow the system, I'm going to help you buy back your life, but you have to front load.
And I even tell people too, not only do you have to do all this work, but you have to change the lens in which you see yourself in this industry. Because again, like back to your question, like why are all these realtors failing? A lot of the times it's because they don't see themselves as the CEO. Like I always tell people when I start working with them, imagine if I was to tell you like, here's your product, you need to go sell $1 million worth of that product. How would you do it? And like when you look at the business like that and you realize, oh, I'm the product, how would I put myself into the marketplace? How would people know who I am? And how would they know if it's good? And how would they want to come back and buy it? Let's build your real estate business the exact same. Like the biggest struggle you have, Alex Ramosi talks about this. The biggest struggle you have is that no one knows who you are. And so as a realtor, you have to aggressively have outreach to go from lack of people knowing who you are, you're essentially in darkness, to then known. You go from unknown to known. And so you structure your business like that. But a CEO would look at it like that. And a lot of realtors are like these sheep waiting for people to tell them what to do. You give me the leads, and it's very reactive, but it's no, let's build your business like a CEO would. Once you change that identity, then again, it becomes really easy at that point too.
Yeah, you're bringing me to this point. I'm going to have a vulnerable moment with you.
Great.
Imposter syndrome. I am like, yeah, I am having a little bit of my own spiral with it. And it's funny because I have a friend of mine. She was one of the coaching students. She is now a good friend of mine. And yeah, I was starting this podcast up and I am like choking on the word of, oh yeah, I'm like starting a podcast. And we all have this imposter syndrome. And because I can't remember, I was letting myself get the best of me. I'm sure that everybody, no matter where you're at in life. So that's why I'm like, I'm going to just throw this out there in a vulnerable moment because the people who have been in the industry for a number of years, or they are coaches, or, right, like we all kind of struggle and do the same, have the same spirals. But I think that the difference is the people who are like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm like, because you're right, so many people are a secret agent. People don't know who you are, and they're not willing to put their face out there, and they're not willing to share with everybody because I don't know if they're worried that they're not qualified. I don't know if they're worried that they're going to look silly. I don't know if they're worried that they're not going to be around long enough and that now everybody knows that they were here and now they're not. I don't know all of the what ifs in the back of people's heads, but at the same time, you're never going to know if you're going to be successful or not unless you do try. And every single person that I know that runs a business has failed and failed, and they just keep picking themselves up over and over again. But yeah, I've been having a few moments of imposter syndrome. So
That means you're doing something right. I always tell people like you should be feeling that often because if you don't, you're just complacent in a spot where you're not really pushing any limits. But I know you and I know what you're trying to do with your new platform. And that's like a given that you're going to feel that. And it doesn't surprise me because I feel that all the time, but it's because I'm constantly just pushing the envelope. And
yeah,
for those that do that, they're going to feel that all the time and they're accustomed to it.
yeah, they say there's no growth in the comfort zone. And I'm like, oh, but I was so cozy for a little while. And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden I'm like ripping the band-aid off and like doing
Yep.
some crazy stuff, like moving cities, starting podcasts, launching a
Yep.
school platform, like all these things. So yeah,
Yep.
imposter syndrome, it's a real thing. And
It is.
yeah, you are an important, integral part of your business. Like you as a human being, like you have to market yourself and show up in a way that like other people like respect and want to spend time with, and that you aren't putting on this persona of what you think people want. Like you have to be truly authentically yourself and be okay with people knowing who you are. Like it's just such an interesting, it's an interesting industry.
That's why I always train on. So the Davis sales training platform is attention, state, strategy, and skills. And I've worked with Tony Robbins and their program for 5 years, a little bit before my dad passed, and then a couple of years, obviously after, up until this point. And they always talk about how energy flows where attention goes. Like
It's
real
true.
estate's a transfer of energy. And so I always tell people when I work with them, you are your greatest asset. There's nothing more important than you. And don't get caught in this hustle grind culture. Make sure that you are taken care of because when you operate from a state of calmness, your clients will feel that and your self esteem will go through the roof. And so part of your business plan should be take care of you because when you are confident and you are like taken care of, like it's really easy to talk to people, but you have to make sure that you're doing that. And again, like if you have your attention on the right things, it's pretty easy to develop that energy to then transfer to your clients. And so that's important too, right? Like with even with imposter syndrome and realtors getting into the industry and such a high failure rate. But if you are calm, like athletes, like professional athletes, and you come at it with a state of peace, you'll have so much more success. There's so many realtors I work with that are so stressed and they're so anxious because they're not doing deals. And once we like calm them down and work on them and just bring that anxiety down, it's, oh, now we can breathe. Now we can think clearly. And now we can go execute.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I have said this so many times. I'm like, I gaslight myself to believe things so that you can move forward. So, like, even like the imposter syndrome stuff, right? I'm like, I can't put energy into that. Yes, you can feel it. Everybody feels things. But if you feel something, you have to go a different direction and then put the energy into the more positive side of it. Because if you do put too much energy and focus into, oh, there's an 87% failure rate, so I'm going to fail too,
Right.
you are probably going to have some form of a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then it will turn out that way. But if you
Right.
say, nope, I am going to do this, I am going to be consistent, I am going to be the percentage of people who do really well in this industry, or I'm going to be in the top 3 to 5%, that is going to put you in the headspace. It is going to give you the confidence to show up, because people do, they smell fear. There's actually like a study around it. People feel the energy, even babies, right? Like you hold a baby and you're
Yep.
terrified, they know.
Yep.
They know. So yeah, that's actually, yeah, it's good. So then you mentioned something to me too that I want to touch on, which is there's a problem within the real estate industry. And I have my own opinion about what is wrong with the industry. So, what do you think is wrong with the real estate industry now that we are talking about failure rate again?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of safegating or safeguarding of information because I don't want to trade my secrets unless you pay me. And then I'm still not even going to tell you everything. And oh, you're not working up on my team. I'm not going to tell you. And so what happens is realtors come in and they just don't know what to do because they can't afford this coach or they're not on that team and you're around a horrible environment so you never get trained. Like that onboarding transition is so dependent on so many variables. If it were standardized, if you come into the industry, here's this and this, here's a panel of top producers, here's how they do it, here's moms, here's single moms, here's agents that have gone part-time to full-time, and you actually know what you need to accomplish. And then there was almost guaranteed accountability. Here's 7 coaches, like we need to make sure that you have one your first year. That would help the industry a ton. But I even run into this, and this is why I like love our friendship. I run into so many other platforms or groups that don't want to collaborate and they don't want to give away their secrets and they don't want to come together and give away free information. Like I get harped on all the time, like for my YouTube, you give too much away. That's the point. The point is to give it all away so people can
Yeah.
go do business. And if they want to work together after that, great. But they need that to get going first.
I don't understand that mentality either. It is really upsetting to me because I want people to be successful whether or not I was a part of their success. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter to me where you got successful from or like where you got your information from. I don't care. Like, I want you to be happy and healthy and I want you to enjoy life. There's people who have been on my team, for example, that aren't on my team anymore and they still call me and ask me questions. And I'm like, I'm happy to help. Like, I don't mind. Like, I would rather give away more than I ever expect back in payment. And that is a quote from the book Go Giver by Bob Berg, which I'd already had that mentality. And a friend of mine said, like, for me to read the book. And I was like, this is exactly the way that I feel about it. I don't agree with gatekeeping. And I
Yeah.
think that it is a poor mentality for people to have within the industry because it doesn't help consumers either, right? Like when we're holding back all this information from other people, they're not doing well. And while they're not doing well, their clients are also not being serviced well. And that's also not fair, right? Like we're in an industry to help people buy and sell real estate and for them to have a good experience and make money off of their investments and have like happy, healthy living for their families, right? Whatever reason they are buying and selling. And if people don't have the information to be able to like service those clients, like we're doing a disservice to the
Everybody.
economy, we're doing a disservice to like humans. Like it's just insane. It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
There's a great
definitely agree.
there's a great example. So I've got a good buddy, Sam Taggart. He's done door-to-door sales for 15, 20 years. And if you rewind 10 years ago, the door-to-door space was similar to what the real estate space is right now, where like companies didn't want to co-collaborate because they didn't want these guys to take their guys and no one wanted to share. So he left his job and created what's called Door to Door Con. It's an event in Salt Lake City every January. And he said, hey, let's bring the best of the best together and let's provide that environment where all door to door people can come and learn. And since he's done that, it's not only up leveled the skill set in the industry, like more reps are selling more deals, but it's also more collaborative where now companies are willing to like share with each other and collaborate and come together and help more people do better going door to door. And to me, that's what the real estate industry needs. It needs more collaborative, let's come together. And if a realtor wants to work with you, great. Like you're their type of people. If they don't want to work with you and they want to work with me, great. I'm their type of people. But that information, that collaborative effort at the beginning shouldn't be protected with walls that are hard to get through.
No, I definitely agree. And the first team that I was ever on, I got a little bit of a taste of this. And it was just like, I remember it happening and I was like, I don't ever want to operate that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that is the beautiful thing about the experiences that we have in life is that you can take what you like about certain experiences and
Yep.
and tweak what you don't like, because if we don't have these experiences and failures, we're never going to evolve, right? So I had this experience when I first started, and it was this constant conversation of you're amazing, you can do it, you're going to be so great in this industry, and here's all this information. And then when I got to a certain point in my real estate career, it was like, you are never going to be good enough to leave, though. You're good enough for this, but you're never good enough to leave. Because there must have been a fear of what happens after you're fully trained up and then you leave.
You become a
Or
competitor.
like there is a ceiling within this space
Yep.
that hadn't there was no conversation about what could happen after you get to a certain level. It was like, this is the top and
Yep.
this is where it is.
Yep.
And there had to have been a fear from probably past experiences with them as well that once you get to a certain point, they will leave. And yeah, there was a point there that I was like, this doesn't feel good to me. And it was like, you're good enough for this, but you're never going to be good enough to go anywhere else.
Mm.
And that was a really crappy feeling that
Yep.
I felt like I was in a family for a number of years. And then when I got to a certain point, it was like, oh, we just trained you to be this good for our benefit, not for yours. And
Yep.
I'm like, I don't want to operate that way. Like I would love the little birds to fly the nest. That's what I want. I want you
That's
to
right.
fly the nest. But I also love the fact that they finally, not finally, but there are a number of different brokerages now, obviously, that provide a platform for people to give away all of the secrets, and it's totally okay.
Yep.
And people don't feel burned. Like it's about time.
Yep.
It's about time that we're in an industry where there is places that you can go where the secrets are easily accessible and people are more collaborative. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I got into real estate when all of the new brokerages are rolling out,
Yeah.
which feels really good. How to go part-time to full-time. That was another one. And this I feel like has been a big hang up for a lot of people. It's something that me being a single mom, I have a ton of moms come to me. And it is a hard thing for people to dive in full time. So I'm curious to know, you're going to teach me something here because I'm like, oh, how do I even help people go from part-time to full-time and unplug from something that is a guaranteed income to real estate, which we both know
Yep.
can be a bit of a roller coaster, especially when you're first starting and you're trying to get your systems in place. So teach
Right.
me.
Yeah. And that's what's funny is when I transitioned from door to door, we are making really good money. And when I came into real estate, my broker, I love the guy, was like, "Hey, you're going to do one deal this year if you're lucky." I was like, "What the heck? I'm not making that's a horrible. Who would make that?
You're like, am I on candy camera? That was like you looking over your
Yeah,
shoulder.
and who would make that transition? What did I get myself into? So that first month, I sold 7 deals because for me, I was like, no chance. Like I'm not going from here to here, and that's what's going to be my destiny. Anyways,
Yeah.
but I worked with a guy 2 years ago, and he had tried 4 or 5 different coaching platforms and groups, and he was trying to go from being a firefighter, part-time realtor to full-time realtor. And anyway, so after 4 months of working with him, he went full time. Now I think he's the in the top 3 best real estate agent off of volume and commission in the state of Alabama. And after I worked with him, it was like, why did that work? Like, why did he get it? And so I tried it on another agent, and then it worked. Then it worked again. Then it worked again. And now this is it's so funny, but this is I train a ton on this. To answer your question, a lot of it has to come down to why do you want this? Why do you want to make the transition? Like really connect to that because I had a mentor, Jeff Mendez, in the door to door space, and he always talks about how the bigger the why, the easier the how. So you can blow up the why, the how becomes so easy. Like that example of running through the building, the why was so big that the how you didn't even spend any time thinking about it. So if people are spending time thinking about the how to go from part time to full time, that's where their issue is first. Is they got to go to the why. So I always ask people like, why do you want to go part time to full time, and then let's break down the path to get there. What would that look like? Like how much money do you need in your account? How much money do you need to replace from your current income? And then at what point are we going to set the benchmark for you to chase? Let's get very clear on the path to get there. And then let's go build your business plan around there. And usually those that have that and they've got intense accountability are the ones that can make the switch. But sometimes like you have to have a brutal conversation with like it's really hard to go from part-time to full-time because you got to replace a full income and you have to make that transition like you were saying from guaranteed money to predictable income, so you have to overcome those fears. So it's a brutal grind, but I always tell people it's a period of time. Like how we go build your business plan to make you transition isn't how your career will look, but it has to be really intense to make you make that transition. After you make that transition, it's a piece of cake. But that period is so aggressive. But if you have a holy cause, you have something that you're willing to run through a burning building for, you'll do it. Right? You'll pull the all nighters. You'll work till 10 p.m. You'll get a listing after 11 o'clock because you're grinding in the streets to go get one because you have a bigger passion. But those that I work with, when you can do those things, it makes the likelihood that you do the transition a lot easier.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, but it makes a lot of sense because even when I first started in the industry, I had no plan B.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it. Like, I don't have a backup plan. I went from serving in pubs, had my daughter. She was like 6 months old. And I was like, I don't want to go back to university because I was going to school for psychology. I was like, I can't go back to school, university and serve at a pub making less than minimum wage
Yep.
and have a baby at home. I was like, I can't, like, I don't know what to do. And yeah, I was looking at all the different options, and a friend of mine said real estate. And yeah, I got my license in 3 months. I did not have a plan B. Like, I had a baby, like, that I had to feed, and I had to have like money to keep the roof over our head. But I think that big why obviously does make the how easier because it's like there is no other option. Like, you have to do it. So the people who
Yep.
have fallback plans, I think that they're actually hurting themselves, number one. And number two, the urgency isn't there in order to do the hard stuff because it is hard.
Yep.
Picking up that phone can be like 100 pounds, or your feet can be 100 pounds each when you're door knocking and you're walking from house to house. Like, it can be heavy. Yeah, I've never thought about it that way, but yeah, the bigger the why, the easier the how. I've never heard that before, and
Yep.
I wrote it down. I'm like, no.
Yep.
But I do love the reverse engineering as well because it is something that I also do. Is that I'm like, okay, how many houses do you want to sell? Okay, that means that you're going to have to make this many phone calls. You're going to have this many conversations. You're going to have to bringing it all the way back down to the daily tangible tasks that people can do, because then you do have a very clear path, which is the thing that we talked about at the very beginning, is that if you're super confused, you're not going to know what to do. So
Right.
reverse engineering it all the way down to like, how many conversations do you have to have in a day? That is like an easy thing to wrap your head around. So knowing that we've reverse engineered everything brings us to probably our final question, which is that this is a skills based industry. And I feel like it's like chicken or the egg, right? So many people are wanting to have all their systems and processes dialed in. They're wanting to be like super sharp on their skills before they start doing the daily activities that are actually going to generate them an income. I wanted to throw that last little piece at you because it is a skills based industry. And I want to know your perspective on the chicken or the egg and like how to actually execute both at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I always tell people look at this profession like an athlete. An athlete doesn't get better reading books about their sport. They get better at practicing, then going to the game, then practicing, then going to the game, watching film, going back to the game. This is the same thing in real estate. When I first got my license, I shadowed a bunch of top producers, which was awesome. They just let me come in for free, record them, practice with them. And I got to see what it took to go sell 150 homes a year. And all of them role played twice a day. All of them read a book for 45 minutes a day. And all of them had at least 2 coaches and were going to masterminds once a quarter. And I saw, oh, okay, this is literally just like where I was in door to door. It's a skill based industry. Those that have the skills are the ones that actually close clients and do a lot of business and help them with buying, selling, or investing. And so you have to look at it like that. If you don't have skills, you're going to go on an appointment and you're going to be like, yeah, they just weren't ready. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, they list with another agent. What happened? You didn't have the skills to
Yeah.
open them up and figure out their problems and solve them and build rapport. The other agent did. Why? Because that guy or girl role plays twice a day. They read, they increase their skill set. They're going to masterminds, they've got coaches. So, for those that don't believe it's a skill based industry, I'll have you go on a listing appointment first and I'll come right behind you. And I always tell people that, like, you have to imagine there's so many realtors in every market. I work with a guy, he's in Florida. A couple months ago, every month he had 20 plus listings and he was cranking in Orlando. And there's 22,000 agents just in his zip code. And I was like, you can't tell me it's not a skill based industry when you have so much competition. It's if you're in a city and you're the only car repair shop, then you don't need skills because you're the only one. But when you
Right.
have 20,000 other competitors trying to fight for your business, the food on your table, then you've got to be the best. And
Yeah.
so as a realtor, you have to look at it like that. You've got to get better. And the industry is constantly changing with AI and social media and all this stuff. If you're not getting better, you're just going to get left behind.
Yeah. And I think even to send that home too, failure is not a problem, right? Like everything that we do in life, we're going to make mistakes and we're going to have to just dust ourselves off and try again. But I think that there's a gap in failing and then trying again, but not making the tweaks necessary
Yeah.
and not sharpening those skills. So I've seen this time and time again where people will go, they will have their phone call, they will have their listing presentation, they will go do the activity and they will not be successful for whatever reason. And they'll come back and then there's a bit of event session and there is some complaining involved, but then they get another appointment and then they go again and they do the same thing.
Yep.
And something that we do within our coaching is that we do a did well and a next time.
Mm,
And then that way there is actually like a tangible, okay, this is what I did well. Because sometimes you can do something that is actually a really important integral part of the process or like of the conversation and objection handling, but you didn't know that it was actually important. So I remember when I even first got into one of the first coaches that I ever hired, he ended up saying this to me. He's, Skyleigh, you are unconscious competent. He's, you do so well. But you don't know how the hell you're doing it, which is hilarious. But I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing well, because I know
Yep.
that something's working, but I don't know why it's working. And I'm like, I can't duplicate myself because I don't know what it is that I did. And I can't duplicate the process again because I don't know what it was that worked. So having someone say, this is what you did well, this is why you did it, this is what you need to do next time for the part you made a mistake on, and this is why it's a mistake, I think is super important because it is skills based, and we can just go on a number of appointments back to back all the time. But if we're not making those minor adjustments and minor tweaks, your conversion rate's never going to go up. And that's the goal. We want to work smarter now. I just
Well,
wanted to send that home
yeah,
for anyone.
100%. I think my best advice on this, off of what you're saying, is every realtor that gets their license, you should look at your first year as research and development. It's
Yeah.
basically R&D every day. And so I always tell people, go talk to people and then take notes for why you didn't close them. So, like, actually audit, like you're saying, the conversation, then go back and study specifically to why you got stuck. So, if you couldn't like build rapport and that was your issue, go study books on rapport, and then you got to role play it. So, that's where it's like you then have to practice in front of the mirror, write out your scripts, get in a role play group, and then you go rinse and repeat. And all of those hold like a good 25% to the equation. You can't be so heavy over here, like you were saying, and not over here. Try it, and your consumers are going to give you feedback. Take that feedback, jot it down, and then go study, and then try it again. And then you fail, and then you try it again, you fail, and you try it again. But it's the same thing like you were saying with athletes. There's a reason they watch film right after the game. And for me, I always call that nightly planning. You guys and everyone that watches this should have a nightly planning where you sit down for 30 minutes and you audit your day. What went well, like you were saying, and then what do I need to improve on tomorrow? 1% better every day, accumulated over your first year. You'll be light years ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, it's interesting how, like, even a fraction of a change can make such a big difference, right? Like, I think that there is, I don't remember where I heard this from, but it said that even if you jump in an airplane and you take off and you are off by even, was it you? Are you
Yeah.
sure? Maybe, I don't even know. I picked things
Maybe
up here and there. I'm going to give all the credit to Jeremy right now, but right, you're even off by a degree. And then all of
yeah,
a sudden you've
6 inches.
landed in a completely different location than what you were expecting. So
Yep.
yeah, like you need to, it like that little change compounds, right? So you're gonna end up having a
It doesn't take much, right? It's
no,
literally 6 inches in that example. If you fly from Salt Lake to New York in the United States and you're off by 6 inches, you're either all the way up north or you're all the way south.
it's
And like,
crazy.
that's it. It's a very small, but again, if you're not auditing your business often, whether nightly or weekly or quarterly or halfway through the year, you won't catch it. And then all of a sudden you're way over here and you're like, why didn't it work out? And here I am not renewing my license.
Yeah, I hear you. And same with, even people don't want feedback. And I think that's probably one of the bigger pills that people have to swallow when they get into the industry as well, is that feedback is a gift. Like whatever someone is telling you didn't work, like you go to that listing presentation and you didn't get it, ask them. Be like, what is it? What was the reason, if you wouldn't mind sharing with me, that I wasn't able to earn your business today?
Right.
Because I want to do better next time. And then take the feedback as a gift. Because there's so many times where I feel like people don't want to hear the thing that they didn't do well, when in reality, they're actually giving you a gift. It's really hard for people actually to share the thing that made it so you didn't earn their business, or share the thing that didn't sit well with them. So if they are willing to share it with you and give it to you, I take it as a gift, say thank you, and then make your adjustments, because it will make it so that you have a better conversion rate in the future. It'll make it so you stay in the industry. If you don't want to be that 87%, take all of the gifts of why you didn't earn their business.
And
Please.
that's why you go get a coach immediately out of the gate, because their
Yes.
job is to keep you on pace to then not find yourself not renewing your license in 2 years.
Ugh, yes. Okay, we've been chatting for an hour.
Okay.
But it feels like I've been talking to you for 10 minutes as per usual.
Still keep going. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, we're going to have to do it again, and we'll come up with another number of conversations and talking points, I'm sure. But I so appreciate you, and I want everybody to give you love, and I need to know where they should go do that. I know that you have a awesome YouTube channel. I follow all your social media, but I want you to say it to everybody so that they can find you as well. So
yeah, so you guys can go on Davis Sales Training on YouTube. The goal is to have that be the largest free platform for real estate agents in the world. And then go follow me on Instagram, because then we can chat in the DMs and be friends. So go to Davis Sales Training on Instagram, because that's where we can hang out together.
I love it. Yeah. And then maybe you'll get to send voice notes back and forth like you and I do. It's like perfect. Get to keep up with each
100%.
other.
Yep.
All the things. So thank you so much, Jeremy. Like I said, I appreciate you more than you actually know.
Well, thanks for having me.
That's a wrap on this episode of Real Estate Real Talk. Whether you're an agent building your business or a buyer or seller trying to get the real story, thanks for being here. If this episode gave you clarity, confidence, or just something to talk about, I'd love for you to follow, rate, and share the show. It helps more people find these conversations. If you have questions or want to connect, head over to SkyleighMcCallum.com or come hang out with me on Instagram. Thanks for listening, and I hope you catch the next episode on Real Estate Real Talk.